Good evening, YouTube. This is Los Angeles Prepper here with a quick video called Can You Hear the War Drums? So I wasn't going to do a video about this article, but I will show you why I decided to do a video about it very shortly here. So this article is ostensibly about America's killer M1 Abrams tank now has its own shields. So of course, being the techie person that I am, I'm looking for some like Star Trek kind of shield thing. But what they are talking about, which I think is pictured up here, is the trophy system, which essentially are some phased radar. Maybe I will zoom in a little bit. Let's see if I can. There we go. So, I'll give you a better picture. So, this is an array and that's array. And what a phased array is, you can do different things with it, but in this case, a phased array is used as radar. Phased array just means you have an array of sensors, or you have an array of things that are all kind of working together in phase, so to speak. Whether or not they're receiving information, they could pump out sound, they can pump out microwaves, they can absorb things. So in this case, it's a passive system where they're, at least the array is passive. So they're sensing these projectiles that are coming in, and then this automated shotgun thing is shooting at the incoming projectiles to try to explode them or deflect them. But what's really interesting about the weapons system is that not only does it try to deflect the incoming projectile coming towards the tank, but it tries to pinpoint the origin of the projectile, and not only takes that information for the people in the tank, for the soldiers in the tank, but it transmits that information to the entire battlefield. So that means that every single projectile that's fired at a tank automatically becomes a target for everyone else in the area. So, and that could include even bullets, potentially. I don't know what this thing is set up for, but it could include potentially small fire 50 caliber bullets. Crazy stuff. Now, why did I call this video Can You Hear the War Drums? Well, let's scroll down a little bit and see what kind of stuff we see. Who wrote this article anyways? Sebastian Roblin, The National Interest. Oh. Now, it must be a patriotic article because it's called The National Interest. So how could it be not in the national interest when it's on a magazine called The National Interest? Just like the Patriot Act. It sounds good, so it must be good. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit here and see what we see. Okay, so this is details about the tank. Now, boom, how America could go to war with Iran. What the hell is this shit? I'm reading about this tank, and then all of a sudden there's this random article here. Is this because of what I'm Googling, or is this just in the article, or what's the deal with this? So this is a little weird. Talking about how America could go to war with Iran. Okay. And then boom, down here. Why North Korea's Air Force is total junk. That doesn't have anything to do with this article. It sort of makes me think, like, what does Yahoo think about the type of person that I am? I put North Korea on a tag to some of my videos, I have to admit, but weird stuff. Then it's talking about this missile system again. And then boom, down here, why doesn't America kill Kim Jong-un? Like, geez. I'm trying to read about this tank, and all of a sudden the media is blasting me with how we could go to war with Iran. Their North Korean Air Force is junk. Why don't we kill their leader? Like, that's kind of, not to say that Americans haven't thought of that question before, but kind of deserves its own article. If you say this stuff about the president of the United States, or if you say it about your neighbor or someone at school, you could really get in trouble for threatening language and online harassment and all sorts of shit. So the fact that this reporter just sort of wantonly asking this question, kind of creepy, if you ask me. Um, whether or not this question has come across your mind before, to just come out and say it, or to come out and post it in like mainstream media, uh, I'm not really sure that's appropriate. But let's see what else we can find here. Okay, more tank stuff, more tank stuff. Options for the future, more tank stuff. Holds a master. So this author holds a master's degree in conflict resolution. Well, I guess they taught him at school that you need to ask questions like, why aren't we killing foreign leaders, and how we could go to war with other countries. I mean, not to say that him, the author, had anything to do with these links. I don't know if he just threw them in the article or if Yahoo threw them in the article. I really don't know enough about the internet or about code to see why this is put in here, but just thought I'd share that with you. It's one thing to have like articles linked over on the side here. Trump and the dismantling of Obama's legacy. Okay, that's some article about Trump. I'm reading about tank upgrades. They're talking about Trump and the military, so I can understand that. But, all this just sort of random articles here, really, really weird. I don't know if I've always said, but in the last few years, and I think I talked about the false dichotomy, the false sort of narratives that the media pushes, but I talk a little bit about the slippery slope, how the media does it. It goes from how America could go to war with Iran to how would Iran respond to America declaring war, to should we declare war on Iran, to when should we declare war on Iran, to is it too late to declare war on Iran. I mean, no joke. Same with this North Korea stuff. Um, you know, Questions like this, and then it becomes, why don't we go to war with Korea, and when are we going to war with Korea, and what would be a good opening strike in a war versus Korea, and then it becomes, how much of an opening strike, and who should participate, and just, we sort of just keep evolving from what an issue is to should we do something, to should we do the next thing, to should we do the next thing. And just be aware of that creep, that war drum creep that happens. Don't let there's nothing wrong with browsing the news. I'm trying to learn about this tank for what reason, I have no idea. I'm just curious, and I'm an engineering student. But just kind of keep an open mind, and notice when little things like this come up, because it's not accidental. Whether or not the author did it, or Yahoo did it, or the NSA did it, or whoever did it, somebody, or even a bot, maybe some bot, or they're trying to push something, so they turned up the Iran bot. Who knows? But it's not accidental. You have to understand this stuff is not accidental. Maybe it just came up because it's about a tank. It's about war and it's about a tank. So maybe anytime tank and war articles come up, you get this stuff. But the specific subject of these titles, whether or not how the titles got here is one thing, but the specific subject of them is a completely different matter. So love to know what you think about this. I'm sure you've seen examples in the modern media of war drums beating. There's a lot of craziness in this world, and sometimes diplomacy doesn't work, but that doesn't mean that, and you will find, at least I find, that often the people talking about the necessity of sending individuals overseas, very often, if they're military members or not, are not personally the ones who will probably be going overseas and putting themselves in harm's way. So it's very easy for politicians and journalists to ask these questions and to talk about, going to war and such. But it's, it's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing when the shit hits the fan in the case of declaring war. And technically, we are at war with several countries, and we do have troops actively deployed in a number of places in the world right now. Even though Americans don't consider our country at war because we're not, we're not saving, we're not growing victory gardens, and we're not saving rubber by, trying to get more out of our tires or whatever. We're not rationing food. We're not blacking out our windows. We're not having, emergency bomb drills. Um, but that's mostly because the people we're going to war with, I guess, uh, don't have a far enough reach. That's why I guess North Korea is sort of scary because, we're not. I mean, somebody knows what the range of their rockets is. I don't know what it is. I'm sure some people in government have a better idea of what it actually is, but definitely a few thousand miles, anyways. I guess they've been kind of launching them straight up, and they've been coming straight down, so they don't have to launch it 3,000 miles to show that it can go 3,000 miles. And I understand the physics of that, but interesting world that we live in. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.